character, and I'm very curious how you set up the edge detection on the shadows.
Okay, cool. Yeah, to explain the edge detection on the shadows, I think I also need to explain the edge detection in general because nothing will make sense. So this is a bit abstract here, and I apologize in advance. I will do my best to explain this. So we have a post-processing shader that actually draws these edges, and it does that by sampling from an edge buffer, which is a separate render target, and we draw every single mesh into that render target, and then it will detect differences in values between the meshes on that render target, and it will draw an edge here. And the way we control it is quite a little bit complicated in theory at first, but it's actually not that bad. So we have 3 channels in that edge buffer. The first one basically just draws the meshes in a solid color. And when the shader samples that, it draws an outline wherever it detects a change in value. Quite simple, right? It samples 1 pixel, samples the neighboring 4 pixels, and change in value detected, bam, outline. This gives a very broad outer outline. Then we add more complexity to that with another channel. This is the red channel of that edge buffer, and this is achieved by rendering, by getting the vertex colors of a mesh. So we have a mesh, and let's say we take a look at this little barrel, because I think it illustrates it fairly neatly. So the asset itself, if I click on the asset here, this is the barrel. The flame is actually modeled into it's one of the earlier assets. This is the vertex size, yeah, pretty much the same. So the artist can decide where to draw an edge line by just having different values of vertex color. So when, for example, I want to draw an edge here, I know that this is one of the spots where this is shaded here around here. I want an edge. I will just give these faces and these faces a different vertex color. Then it basically does some math to get the grayscale out of it, and here you have just different values of colors, and it draws wherever it detects a difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you're giving it those colors in the modeling program.
Yes, in the modeling program, exactly. Yeah.
Go ahead, Joyce.
Yeah, I was trying to summarize it. Every vertex in a mesh can have its own color, and this is separate from any kind of texturing. So
yes.
What you can do is in most modeling programs, you can just select a face and then flood it with one color.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we choose that, how we do it. We can, select these faces, flood them in one color, flood the neighboring faces in another color, and where the transition is also the edge later down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for making that clear. Yeah. That's how we get the mesh information, but here's also where your question is answered, I suppose. You can see this particular shade.
Right.
This is actually the shadow.
So that's also being rendered into that vertex color buffer.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's done. The shadow caster renders it on top of that in the same channel as the vertex colors.
So then there's the lines from the texture.
Yes, the lines from the texture are they're a bit more difficult to understand at first as well. They're a bit more complicated, but this is essentially the texture buffer. It looks quite freaky. Let me zoom in. I have to zoom in for this to make sense. Yeah. Oh no, wait, this is the wrong one. This is the right one. This is the right one. Okay. Forget what you just saw. That was actually a spoiler. So you have these. These are the textures they are sampled in a quite regular way. We render objects with this texture to the green channel of the edge buffer, and again the post-processing shader also iterates through that, and then it draws a line wherever it detects a difference in value here. So technically, it would draw a line around here,
Right.
and these little lines here that'd be like a little edge sausage, as I call them. So yeah, this is also one part. Like, this is also where the weakness of that system kind of comes in. We technically don't want this to be an edge sausage. We technically don't want this to be just a scratch, for example.
Right.
So how do we create single line edges with this technique? And for that, we have another buffer that is a mask buffer, and that is what I just spoilered. So if you look at this, imagine you have a little edge sausage. If you now look at this part will erase a part from the edge sausage. So it will mask that out again.
Okay.
Can you switch between the two again?
Yeah, this is the texture. This is the mask.
Right,
texture,
so
mask.
the bit that remains is like really thin then.
Yeah, the bit that remains is this.
Oh yeah, oh that's
wow.
perfect.
Okay.
Magic.
It looks like magic.
Yeah, it's the mask is actually also in this texture. This is the red channel, this is the edge part of that edge texture, and this is the mask part of that edge texture. So you can actually go into Photoshop and you can paint on this channel if you want to erase edges. You can paint on this channel if you want to add edges. And